And I love that. And I think when like you read those lists of like the top 5 things every leader needs in their backpack to be effective, right? And, people are like, oh, I've got to go get an MBA and I need to have financial literacy and I need to understand my customer, our vision, all of those pieces. You never hear like recovery, like to be effective. And I loved those like cycles that you had mentioned. You never hear it's like, and something in my toolkit that is structured, it's intentional, it's planned for, it's part of the mix that I have to call upon is my recovery. And again, like I'd love to segue the conversation into like unpacking or reframing what recovery means is. Cause I worry that when we first started talking about, and we've joked about it, it becomes the like ice baths, the sleep, the make sure you take your vacation days, where I think it's much more than that around the time, energy, but also like your mindset management and how you recover from losses, recover from setbacks. You had mentioned at the beginning, failures, like everyone's like, celebrate a loss, celebrate a learning, or like a key learning from a failure. Who in the business world actually does that? You sweep it along, maybe someone gets in trouble for it and you move forward. But maybe we can talk a little bit about this like reframing of, to your point, you can have it all. You can have both ways. And burnout is coming and you can see it. In some cultures it's talked about more openly. Some you just see it happening. But yeah, what are your thoughts on reframing recovery? And maybe Micaëlla, we can start with you of coming from an elite basketball piece. Like what role did recovery play in your toolkit of things?
Yeah, I'm gonna say like a lot of other athletes, I didn't prioritize it as much when I had more of a choice versus now my body's like, you need to chill, right? And so I think we grow with and through our bodies. But I do have very concrete examples of taking a rest day and performing much better the second day, of fueling my body properly and performing much better, of sometimes going for a walk. And I think recovery looks very different for different people. We talked about cycles. What does recovery look like on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on an annual basis?
Yeah.
Because I need glimpses of recovery. Maybe it's being mindful with my coffee and reading the newspaper to start my day. And that's a moment of recovery, whether that's psychological for you or moments of emotional recovery. If everything's high emotion, like how do you unplug from that, right? Sometimes work feels like recovery from me because I've been exercising in the gym and I'm like, okay, let me just chill and drink my smoothie while I do my job, right? So I think different forms of recovery to serve yourself, different cycles of recovery from daily to weekly to monthly to annually. And also understanding that it's going to look different for everyone. And you mentioned recovery from loss or failure. It's the corny failure is a teacher saying, but like really like where did we go wrong with this? How do we avoid this next time? And reframing a loss or a failure as a teaching moment is always like, okay, I feel better. I can move on now. I have closure. I know how not to make the same mistake again.
Yeah. And I feel like there's still something there. Like we see it in the business world, right? Like I feel like in the sports world, it's much more like ingrained in
we
what
still
you
don't
do.
it. We say it, but we still don't do it. So at which point are we going to be like, oh man, look at me in the same situation over again, injured again because I didn't recover again. How much science do you want?
Yeah.
Make a choice and be better. And I think that some of it is where it starts, and it's going to take maybe we were mentioning big names as Steve Jobs or Elon Musk or whatever to be the ones to say like, I'm successful because I prioritize my recovery, for people to be like, oh, wait, you can be competitive and prioritize recovery at the same time. And maybe prioritizing recovery will actually give you a competitive advantage too.
Oh, yes. You took the words out of my mouth. I was like, it is the competitive. No one's talking about it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? We were talking about panels earlier. You sit down and they go, what's your competitive product market fit? Or, like first to market on things, or our developers. It's like, if an executive said, my recovery strategy, you'd be like, or like, come again now?
Failing fast, but truly, like embracing, learning from that failure, taking the time to recover. One of our key objectives is around recovery.
Yeah.
What would that look like? I also like, maybe I'm just a bit misled by the top athletes. Like I read something around LeBron James, right? He spends $1.5 million yearly on his recovery. Now
and he's playing at 40 plus. So
and we're not all LeBron.
Well,
but if you put that in perspective,
there's a lot of parallels in the workspace. I when I saw in the prep documents recovery as a competitive advantage, like
Yeah.
that totally resonated with me, because at a later stage in your career, how you manage yourself, like your mental well-being, even your physical well-being, it's equivalent of just working on a fadeaway jumper. Like, you just can't dunk on people in your 30s. You're gonna have to work. Every great player has a fadeaway jumper at some point. And yeah, and recovery is a competitive advantage. And if you're able to present a metric or an ROI to that, and you have the right person amplifying it, like that, like when I hear about what LeBron does to recover and to protect his physical and mental well-being, and then seeing how he's playing at such a high level well into his 40s, like he can go for another 3 years.
Right.
That just really resonates with me.
Mhm.
And I'm also on this entrepreneurial journey in my 50s. Journaling is ubiquitous. Meditation is ubiquitous. Water is ubiquitous. Sleep is a work in progress, but I'm getting there. Walks, gym, hot sauna, cold shower. These are all recovery things, because I want to do this for a long time. And
Yeah.
it's incredible when you have something that motivates you to consider recovery over hustle, knowing that a recovery mentality is a lot more long sustaining. The other thing too that shifted my mindset around recovery was social justice. So George Floyd hit, world just went upside down. Everybody went ham. Like, let's do something about this. Let's hit the streets. Let's start all these initiatives. Like, oh, let's start this non-for-profit here. Let's push for these initiatives here. Let's get people to be more intentional. Let's be the one in the room. Let's be the elephant in the room that's like making people change. And it was exhilarating, but it wasn't sustainable. And people started dropping dead.
It was the let me do 100 push-ups every day. For
Yeah,
the
yeah,
next
yeah.
week.
But it was just like everybody was
hard.
pushing so hard,
Yeah.
fueled on emotion, and then people
Yeah.
started dropping dead, like in their 30s, in their 40s, suddenly. And it happened a lot, especially in the GTA with people, peers of mine. And I was on a supper club Zoom call for Black men, chaired by a guy named Brandon Hay. And they had men from NYC, Toronto, Argentina, Rio. It was just like a vibe, right? And this dude in Baltimore, he said, okay, we're doing all this work, we're putting all this work, but I want to remind all you brothers, rest is part of the resistance. You can't have resistance without rest.
Wow.
And when he said that, it was just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and to me, that was the catalyst where it's like, okay, I need to rest, because if I don't rest, I could die. I think, how do we get that same kind of motivation for people to flip things on its head and make recovery the leading
Yeah.
narrative in our work? Yeah.
Interesting.
So
I think that's
Yeah.
where science and the sport parallel comes in really neatly. And I have a sport background. I recognize that people who don't understand how like sport is literally life. But like I think of weight training, and when you strength train, which could be equatable to the work period, you're tearing your muscle fibers.
Yeah.
And when you rest, your muscle fibers rebuild themselves, which creates scar tissue, which is why your muscles get bigger. So that booty you're working for, or those abs, that six
I'm
pack.
trying to get rid of my booty.
Man.
I need the app for that.
I'll
to
give
tell
you
me what
some
to
of
do.
it. I'd love it.
But that analogy of muscle fibers ripping and only giving you those gains while they're resting is
Yeah.
science. And now there's science. Why would the brain work any differently?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So I think
Yeah.
like, how do we bring proof, receipts